All right. Well, I've got a very special guest tuning in with Thom today. The D and Big D, Mr. David McWane, and
Yeah.
boy, it's I believe if I've done my research properly, you're in New Hampshire, somewhere near Massachusetts. Is that correct, or somewhere
Yeah,
else?
pretty much like right on the border. Turn it around. That's a lake
Wow.
down there. Yeah. Small little cabin in the woods in New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, it's a great part of the country. I know we're experiencing a little bit of heat. We're here in August in Buffalo,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to be here in Buffalo, the home of the Bills, on Saturday, August 16th, 2025,
Yeah.
with Ska Fest. You have a long history of Buffalo. Any shows that kind of rise to the top when you hear Buffalo?
We do have a very long relationship with Buffalo. I would say like from the beginning. To the degree that I've been able to see the city change so much, even though I don't sleep there. I mean, I sleep overnight there, I guess, after a show, but you know what I mean? I don't spend 2 nights in a row there, but I've been able to see the city change and change and change. It's changed so much, and I'm just so happy for it, because like when we first started touring, there were some grim Buffalo moments, and I remember driving through there going like, "Are any of these shops open?" It's great. I mean, like, yeah, like I, since the band has been together, Buffalo has been a part of our life. Yeah,
And you mentioned since the band's been together, and if my math is correct, this is a milestone year. Is this the 30th anniversary of the formation of the band?
yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but earlier when I was talking, I kind of stuttered because I was like, "Do I say 30? I don't even know." Yeah. So it is. Yeah. So yeah, it's been 30 years.
So you didn't capitalize on the whole 30th anniversary merch and all that kind of stuff, or are you just not really a huge milestone guy?
Well, no, that's really great that you ask because we kind of are in our own way going to, but the band did have that exact conversation, which was your question, like, what do we do? And we're all like, I don't know. It was a big like, it was like I don't know. You didn't we didn't know how to do it really. You know what I mean? So instead of having, we were going to have a box set, and we still might of putting all our songs out of 30 years, but each one being a genre of Big D, like ska or thrash or punk or dub, and have all these vinyls come out. But and that's still an idea, and we still might do it. But we're working, and we're just finishing. Just before I talked to you, I just finished talking to Matt Appleton, and we're just finishing our new records mixes. So we didn't want to put too much on our plate. Like when you're doing a new record, you really, really should just focus on the songs. And you
Yeah.
really should, like, even if you're worrying about this, that, and the other thing, you really want not to be like a hippie, but your centerage to be on that album, and not think about the 30th. So now that the mixes of our new record, after about 5 minutes before I talk to you, are completed, now we can start thinking about that. So it's a really good question because we needed today to happen to finish the record to start thinking about other bells and whistles and fanfare.
Well, my wife, we had a surprise birthday party for her, and it was her 58th, and she didn't see it coming. So maybe if you did the 31st anniversary tour, that would be
Yeah,
different than just the 30th.
very Big D fashion to throw the 30th anniversary 31 years later.
Well, I date back to my son was the one that introduced me to you guys, and we caught you in 2007 on a triple bill with, if I remember correctly, it was Club Infinity, Whole Wheat Bread, and I think the AKAs was the other band as well. And
Best tour. Yeah.
oh my god, yeah, I believe that was the Strictly Rude tour, and you guys were just on fire that night. And I looked to see what happened to the other two bands, and it just seems like they kind of fizzled out. So to some
I
degree, you
don't
got to
know.
feel good about how long you guys have stuck around.
Well, let me jump in, and it's so funny. So I don't mean to edit, but it was the Steady Riot tour during
Oh,
the
Steady
Strictly
Riot.
Rude
Sorry.
album. No, but it was the Strictly Rude album. I just
Right.
wanted to say it because that's what it was. But I just Rick, the bass player to Whole Wheat Bread on that tour, just messaged me 3 days ago
Wow.
like, yeah, 3 days ago, because he just came to Boston and he's like, Dave, and we just did like endless catching up. So yeah, so and Rick's doing great. He just got a gold record from, I don't know the artist, but he's a producer engineer and he just got a gold record. And so he's doing great. My phone is doing great. It says, remember to tell mom good night. For 7. But yeah, so I just caught up with Rick and that was a great tour. I mean, that was just like, yeah, we had Brain Failure for half of it and Whole Wheat Bread for the other half or something like that. It was great. It was a great tour.
I just remember the energy. It was, it's funny because I listened to another interview where you really, and I know you're a poet, so you're a very visual person, and you mentioned about how music it has an imprint on you when it finds you. So that's one of the reasons why when you get older, it's harder because you want to listen to the younger stuff because it reminds you of your youth. And
Right.
but you know what? That was just a great night with my kids, and that's part of the reason that it had such a great imprint on me. But you guys were on fire that night. I've seen you since. I mean, you were always on fire, but that night was pretty special.
Steady Riot Tour was hilarious for us because like it was kind of the first time anyone ever alluded that we were an actual band. Like you're the headliner. You have bands on tour with you. You know what I mean? We had like a group of bands going on tour and we were headlining and it was just wild to us. It was just wild.
Well, I mean, this thing you're doing on Saturday, I mean, you're looking at about, man, I want to say 10 or 11 bands. And my youngest son,
Yeah.
Trevor's in Do It With Malice. That's my shameless plug for his particular band. And he's very excited to be on the bill with you guys. But I feel like sometimes just when each band is pushing the other one, that's what makes for a great evening. And that's, I think, what made that tour work is that everybody was just trying to outdo everybody.
Yeah, and it was a little like aftermath of the 90s. Like 90s, so many different genres of band, so many different genres of band could be on the same billing and the touring and stuff. And it was kind of like a remembrance, even though it was like early 2000s, of a bunch of bands that, greatly are in the same genre, more so than the 90s. But we were different, you know what I mean? And we were trying to be like, just what about this? What about this? Even though it's a small tour, you're just trying to give people a lot of different choices and ideas and styles, you know.
Yeah, no, it was a great night of music, as I've said, and the song that really stood out to me that night was one that shows it up in your set list every now and then, and it was my favorite T-shirt, but I've since outgrown it. Outgrown, I say, just I've gotten too fat. But try out your voice, and to some degree, I mean that song has now come full circle. In 2007, you're looking at the rise of Barack Obama and a whole different political movement and trying to urge people to become active. But now, I mean, I think that song can take on a whole different meaning.
I would say, unfortunately,
Yes.
unfortunately, a lot of Big D songs like LAX and Hell on Earth and Try Out Your Voice, from the days they were written, everything's just gotten worse. so, so
So is the real message, you guys listen to the songs now and 10 years later we'll be that much better for it?
Well, I don't know. All I know is that the issues seem to get yeah. And our new record, what's really interesting with our new record that we're working on, there were a couple songs that were written, just a few songs that didn't quite make our last record, Do Your Art. Because, if you think about a record, you could think about like a menu. You're writing an Italian menu and you have a couple French dishes that you're like, that's good, but maybe it doesn't go with the menu, but it's still a good dish, it's still a good song, So those songs kind of had to wait, but they were written at a certain time. And now that they're coming out now in 2025 or 26 when it comes out, they're more poignant. They're more poignant than they were. You lit a fuse and you didn't know where the gunpowder was leading. It's really interesting for us and me to listen to the words and go, people are going to think I mean this, this, and this, but I was just talking about this, this, and this, but everything's still getting weirder.
So does it feel that way when you're performing some of these songs? Like, I mean, do you feel your emotions changing as you present a song that maybe when you originally sang it, you felt this way, and now you're like, wow, this is giving me a whole different emotion?
No, I would say for me, I always feel the original emotion, but I can sense what's going on. You know, I'm aware that there's a double message happening because years have moved on. But I usually stay in the same place.
Now, one of the other little factoids, I mentioned briefly that my youngest son Trevor is a drummer. I think a lot of people don't realize that you're a drummer as well.
Right. That's the only reason why I'm in music is to be a drummer. Messed up, and I became a singer.
Well, I mean, there is a long tradition of from my era, guys that hopped
Yeah.
out from behind the drum kit. A lot of people may not even realize. I mean, the lead singer of Three Doors Down comes to mind because I know he's dealing with some health issues. But Lou Gramm of Foreigner was originally a drummer. Of course, we all know Phil Collins,
Yeah.
and I think there's a certain sensibility in terms
Yeah.
of how you front a band when you're a drummer as opposed to a lead singer. And I don't know if maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if anybody wants to understand me, they should think about that because, I played drums at Big D first because, that we were just getting together and being friends, me, Steve Foote, and Mark Flynn. And then as we were writing songs, they just said, why don't you sing so Max can play drums? Because we were just a group of friends. And I was like, well, okay, that makes sense because Max isn't hanging out with us when we're practicing, and that would be much more fun if he was. And they're like, you sing, and I was like, why? Why me? Like there was no reason. I had no interest. It'd be like if someone was like, why don't you become, figure skater or, something crazy. And and I was like, why? And they're like, we just think you'd be good at it. And I was like, all right, that makes sense because we didn't want to be a band. So it just was more of a way to be like, we could hang out with Max more and this is more fun. This is more fun to do, because we can all hang out. But yeah, I mean, I miss drumming because I find it's like just the most beautiful, like physical yoga. You're using your mind and your body. And I really love that whole thing of like being behind the singer and kind of like following the band, like you're the tail gunner, you're the belly gunner, I love all of that. And so as a singer, I think when you see me do my thing, I'm trying to find that physicality and I'm trying to somehow touch upon Dave the drummer, but I'm the singer.
And I wonder if it makes you a better bandmate in a way. I mean, there's always that kind of, nasty stereotype of, LSD, lead singer's disease, and some of them being very difficult because maybe they don't understand how hard it is to be a drummer and maybe lug around the equipment or just have to be back there or a guitarist or anything like that. And I wonder if that's the case with you.
Well, that's funny because breaking down Alex, our drummer's gear or like moving it, that's Zen for me. That would be like, people have words for it these days, like a thing that you can do that you feel good doing, a sensory thing, but it's like a home base for me, it's so like helping with gear, touching gear, doing like, yeah, that makes me feel better. But you'll laugh, sometimes when singers talk to me, they'll do the thing where they're just, they're just trying to be friends and bond, but they'll be like, like when the crowd, however they say it, like when the crowd just looks at you or cheers for you and whatever it is, don't you just love that? And I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I'm just playing. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, not really. Like, it's not that I don't like it, but
Right.
it's more like it's not why I'm doing music. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm here playing with my guys, my band. We're doing a good job. We're killing, we're doing our songs, man. And you can watch and you can like it, but I don't like receive uh flattery through it. You know what I mean? I don't, it's just doing our thing, man.
My impression of you, having seen you perform and based on the size of venues that you perform in, is that there are some bands that you feel like you're there watching them and they're on the stage. Whereas I feel like, and maybe this is the case with a lot of ska bands, is that they're part of the party. Like, you know what I mean? There's even though there is a bit of a kind of an imaginary wall between the band and the audience, your band feels more like part of the audience than up on a riser, so to speak, if that makes sense. And I imagine to some degree that may be intentional or maybe just sort of a product of the music.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to go on tour and liven up the room. It's being from Boston, I think a lot of people have an explosive personality, and we definitely have explosive personalities. And You know, I mean, we aren't necessarily the acoustic guitar ballad band, but that's just not what we're doing. But you know, we do explode on stage. But then there's other amazing bands that also I just have to like do shout outs to, like bands like Lightyear from the UK and from England, and Kill Lincoln. They're very explosive on stage these days, like you're saying.
Yeah,
The
and
way you
Boston is,
described
is
it, I had to give them kudos because it felt like you were describing them. Yeah.
well, I'm describing you. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, you probably you can't see Big D in the kids table, which is it's kind of a bummer because I think you'd really enjoy them as a band. I can imagine that the show you put on is the one that you'd like to see.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes with being a drummer too, when sometimes you sit back there and singers can be anxious or nervous, or it's a scary thing. And to go out there and night after night and be like, I don't know, how about this? And so sometimes when you're a drummer and you see your singer be weathered or insecure, you wish you could pump them up with your your not approval, but your like gusto of them. You want to be like, no, you're great, don't worry about it. And so I try to remember that as a drummer. So when I go out there, I try to have like, not to go back to the drummer thing, but I try to be like my own thing of like, don't remember that. So just do it all. Don't you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, when I heard that you were a drummer, it was one of those things where you look back in hindsight and you go, "Oh yeah, I could see that." Like it's not something where, and hopefully anybody that watches this interview is going to think the same thing. Like, "Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense," especially again with your approach to rhythm is moving around the stage and just kind of the interaction
yeah.
and everything that goes on.
Hmm. And I'm from Boston and from the 90s, and other than just all great music in the 90s, there's a huge uh, amount of hardcore music that was coming out with, Boston, New York, and of course DC, but everything had to do with beat changes, breakdowns, pickups, like, and everything was rhythmic. So yeah, yeah.
And I've always found Boston to be such an interesting study of just the different bands that came out of there. I think you guys toured with the Boss Tones. I mean, they're just one of those bands that,
We didn't.
oh man, it
We
would
never
have been
toured with the Bosstones. It's a funny thing. So we never toured with them. We just played one-offs, and I really wish we did.
it would make sense as far as the bill. I mean, they were another one of those bands that just at the end of the night, you just felt like it was almost like a primal scream. It was such a great show to watch.
We were in the crowd for the Bosstones. We were in the crowd learning and loving it and figuring out things and going, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine again, but like I said, I mean, Boston just produced so many great bands, and
Yeah.
I think a Dropkick Murphys too is another band my kids really loved and introduced me to, and just had that great kind of Boston mentality. I mean, as a Buffalo guy, it
Yeah.
it hurts me to say anything nice about Boston because the Patriots owned us for so long, but
Well, if we're praising Boston, let me say a couple quick band names if anyone's listening, and that's check out Morphine, the band Morphine. Check out the band Only Living Witness. Check out the band Sam Black Church. Those are some fun ones.
and I think we're probably at about, we're about 20 minutes, and I don't want
Yeah.
to bore anybody, so we'll kind of try to wrap some things up. I know you've done some great books of poetry. You do a lot of writing. Is there any writing things that you're doing? You mentioned the new album coming up, which I'm sure is going to excite a lot of people. But what do you got in the works as far as your literary
I, I
side?
I do with an amazing illustrator named Will Davenport, and I think his Instagram is Will Davenport will draw, or will I think it's Will Draw, and I have this book coming out that I've had for a while, but I had to find the right illustrator, and this my friend from college, this dancer I know, married this amazing man Will, and we were just talking, and now we're collabing for this book, and it'll be I won't get the title yet, but it'll be basically like a gummy berry book or a never-ending story book where it's big, and both the bookends will hold vinyl,
Oh
and
wow.
you play the vinyl while you read this book, and it's his illustrations. I mean, the writing is superb, of course, but the illustrations are right there with it. And no, Will is just. I just hit. You're very clairvoyant because just I'm not even joking with you. Just today, he sent me the first digital review of it, so I could digitally go through it rather than sending one image at a time.
Are you a vinyl record collector? I mean, it sounds like you've got some. If you're talking about box set with vinyl, or is it just you're in tune with the fact that there's a bunch of vinyl junkies like me out there?
Well, I make a joke like to big D to small bands were big, but to big bands were small. And so as far as a vinyl collector, I would say to a non-vinyl collector, I collect a lot of vinyl, but to a vinyl collector, I'm modest. But with that said, I will admit that I have taken all my parents' vinyls, cleaned them up, put them all in new jackets, all the 45s and all the. So I guess I am a vinyl person if I've done something like that. Yeah, so I guess I am.
Yeah, and I think
bigger ones that I'm not as colossus as they are. I know my Dungeons and Dragon hit points are 14 and theirs is 400. So
it's
a very skydivers. If you say I've gone skydiving 20 times, they're like, "Shut up! I've gone 20,000 times." They're like, "I'm sorry." I thought I did something.
Yeah, it's very apropos because I'm wearing a Grateful Dead shirt, and I just remember growing up, that was always the big thing with the fans, be like, "Oh, how many times did you see Thom?" And I've got my artists that I've seen, but yeah, it's like you're tier 5, I'm tier 1. I've seen him.
Don't give the metal scene just people care. The metal scene back in the day wouldn't go that far. They would always go like, I've seen Iron Maiden 400 times, and you'd be like, I've seen him 4 times. They'd be like, good.
Yeah, I remember seeing that you are an Iron Maiden fan, which that's a. I wonder if you were inspired to get your own jet at some point to fly to gigs.
Can you believe he did that? I mean, that's the most metal thing. It is the most rock and roll thing ever. He flies his own band to shows.
Yeah, he's got this giant hunk of metal to drag his bands around. All right, well, yeah, let's wrap up. And again, I just thanks for setting this up with me. As I said, my son is overly thrilled to be opening up for you. And
what instrument does he play? Or
he plays drums.
Oh yeah, he said yes.
Yeah, he's a drummer. So and I'll close with a story because I don't know if you'll remember it because I owe you a deep debt of gratitude. When my mom passed away, my son was going through a pretty rough time, and his favorite band was coming to town, and I sent the lead singer an email to see if he could sit in on sound check in Rochester and play a couple of songs. And you were that guy. You let my son play with him in 2016. And you know what? It's a treasured family memory. And I don't know if I was able to, I think I thanked you that day, but here we are, I don't know, 7-8 years later, the kid's a drummer playing in different bands, going to be on the same stage as you. And you have been an inspiration to him. And just to me, just one of the most beautiful acts of kindness a musician has ever expressed to me. So thank you.
Awesome. And do you happen to have a photo from that day at all?
We still have the video.
Okay.
yeah. It was the Bug Jar in Rochester.
Shot, and I'm sure he's grown since then, right?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because it is pretty funny because the band's been together. I do find it funny when someone who is shorter than me is now way taller than me,
Yeah, I'm trying to think. This was it had to be at least 9 years ago now. So yeah, he's definitely grown a little bit, but it was really cool. I don't remember the song that he played with you, but I remember you saying to him, you were like, "What song do you want to play?" And he told you, and it's like, "Oh, of course you want to play that one because it's really difficult for drummers." And again, it makes sense now that I know you're a drummer because it would be the song that maybe you would want to play if you were in his spot.
Right. Oh, you'll have to ask him because I got to know now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, he'll definitely remember. As I said, we've got a video, but yeah, I'll make sure that he brings out a picture and gets a chance to say hi to you and everything. I know he was thrilled we were able to work something out today as far as you and I talking together. This one kind of caught up on me. I was like, he told me months ago, and I said, "Oh, I'll set something up." So yeah, it's my fault for being so last minute.
Well, it's a pleasure, and thank you for being so clairvoyant. Some of those questions were awesome.
That means a lot to me. As I said, it's easy to interview band members from bands that you really like and have had a huge influence on you. So
Yeah.
I will again wish you the best of luck. And how soon before we get to see the new album, you think?
So, like we said, we just finished mix probably 10 minutes after we talk. And then we'll master it. And then the artwork is getting there. And I would say something like October, November, December.
Nice. So a couple new songs in Buffalo, maybe?
That's part of the plan.
Awesome.
Four
Fantastic.
Claymorian things. Four Claymorian things.
All right. All right. Again, Dave, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Go and enjoy the wonderful scenic view, and we'll catch up with you Saturday in Buffalo.
See you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.